Can Google's first smartwatch seriously challenge the Samsung Galaxy Watch 5? Hello, this is Matthew Miller from the ZDNet Mobile Gadgeteer. I had the opportunity to fly out to New York City last week for the Made by Google event, and I've been wearing the Google Pixel Watch ever since then. It's only been 5 days, so I have some limited testing, but I have worn it running outside, walking outside with GPS tracking, rowing on the hydro, sleeping, and working with it on my wrist. It combines Google Wear OS and Fitbit, but it doesn't actually offer the best of what an individual Wear OS watch and a Fitbit wearable can offer by themselves. So we'll take a little deep dive into the device itself, right? It's a small, very lightweight wearable that's prominently displayed with a Gorilla Glass 5 display that pretty much takes up the whole front of the watch. There's no casing around the watch. The glass flows down in a curved form over into the body, and the body is 80% recycled stainless steel. Still very, very lightweight at just 38 grams. So the display is the prominent part, and then we have a couple buttons. The top right button defaults to recent apps with a press and hold launching Google Assistant. The right crown is used for app launching when you single press, scrolling as you move the crown up and down, and then a double press for Google Wallet. It does have a very unique band mechanism. And at first, when I was at the Made for Google event, I had a lot of trouble during my initial hands-on trying to play around with the bands and swap them out. I didn't have my readers on, and I'm getting older, so I couldn't see the very small button that is part of the locking mechanism. But after you practice a little bit, it actually gets to be a very elegant solution. The key is to press that small little button and then rotate the side and slide the band over the top of that button, and then the band comes out. And then the other part of that is to get the band on. You actually use the band end itself to kind of press in on that button, and then rotate over to the counterclockwise to lock that in place. After you get that band system figured out, it does seem very secure, and it does help create a good connection between the heart rate monitor on the back and your wrist itself, with that band very tightly forming that connection there. Now, there are quite a few bands provided by Google as options. There's some decorative bands, woven bands, leather bands, rubber sport straps, and I think we're going to see a lot more of these as they try to make it a stylish accessory. Because this watch is very small at just 41 millimeters, and it's something that doesn't appeal to me, but my wife actually loved the size of the watch. It does have a brilliant 320 ppi AMOLED display. It's powered by a Samsung Exynos processor. The battery inside is actually pretty small at just 294 milliamperes. Google says that it'll provide about 24 hours of use, and I'll go through a little bit of what I've seen in my past 5 days of use. As I mentioned, it is pretty small at 41 millimeters diameters, about 12.3 millimeters thick, and it just weighs 36 grams. It does come in 3 different colors. This is the matte black one that I'm testing out. There's also polished silver and champagne gold. And besides the hardware, this is really focused on the software experience. And with Google's purchase of Fitbit, Fitbit software is very well integrated with Fitbit Exercise and ECG, a Fitbit Today that gives you your steps, your active zone minutes, all of that. It's a very similar interface to what we saw in the Sense 2, with swipe down for quick controls, swipe up for notifications, and you swipe left and right to go through the various tiles that you have options for. There's a bunch of default tiles that are part of the watch, and then as you install third-party applications, some of those applications have tiles as well. For example, Strava, which I like to use, that has one of its own tiles too. It's not quite everything, like I mentioned earlier, what the Fitbits offer, right? The Fitbit Sense 2 is the highest level of Fitbit that we see, and one functionality that is missing on the Pixel Watch that we see on the Fitbit Sense 2 is the continuous EDA and stress tracking. However, if that's not that important to you, you will get a very functional Fitbit experience with the Pixel Watch. And it is focused on the Google Wear experience, right? So it has Google Home, Google Assistant, Wallet, Messages, YouTube Music, Keep Notes, and more. Some of those experiences are a little bit limited, right? With Home, you can control your Nest thermostat, but you can't see any of your Nest cameras. Google Maps actually doesn't even support mapping on the watch itself or directions. what it does is when you select a destination on your watch, those directions will come from the phone that's connected to it, and then it will show you the navigation. But it's not navigation just from the watch at this time. Now, that may be something that comes later on. We'll have to see. This is still kind of their first iteration. It's early on. So battery life is advertised at 24 hours or so. And I'm seeing so far at this point about a 2% drainage per hour during my sleep, about a 4% per hour drainage on indoor workouts, for example, my hydro rowing, and I'm seeing a pretty large 20% reduction in battery life with GPS and heart rate tracking while I'm outside doing exercises. So it's not going to give you that week-long battery life of a Fitbit Sense. It's not going to challenge the Galaxy Watch 5 Pro at 3 days or the Apple Watch Ultra at 36 hours. And the Apple Watch now and the Apple Watch Ultra and the Galaxy Watches are all 2+ day watches nowadays, right? Whereas this watch is pretty much a 1 day only Pixel Watch. The Google Pixel Watch is actually a pretty affordable smartwatch. It's $349 for the Wi-Fi model and just $50 more to get the LTE model. I've been testing out the LTE model. I have it connected with my T-Mobile account, so it's connected to my T-Mobile SIM and partnership there. It is targeted towards Android smartphone users looking for a basic smartwatch, like an Apple Watch with some fitness capabilities. Google will definitely need to work on some messaging though, because there could be confusion because there's Google Fit and there's Fitbit. Do you load up Google Fit along with the Fitbit stuff that's natively on the watch? Do you skip the Google Fit stuff? You know, there's a Fitbit application that you have to have in addition to the Google Pixel Watch application, whereas the Google Wear OS application that's on your phone doesn't really work with it. So there's some little bit of messaging going on here that Google's going to have to go through. It's clearly not a watch for athletes, right? If you're looking for a great GPS sports watch experience, the small size is nice, but there's limited battery life, and the design makes it a watch that, you know, it's a little bit limited on what you can see on the screen. It's not quite rugged like an Apple Watch Ultra or a Galaxy Watch 5 Pro or even a Garmin or Polar or some other watch like that. It's a great first integration that shows some potential for improvements with Google and Fitbit. I really like that Fitbit is on there. You know, in the past we've seen Wear OS devices that offer a little bit of confusion because some of the manufacturers have to throw in their own applications. The Google Fit is a pretty terrible application. Both the watch and the smartphone application of Google Fit is extremely limited. I would never recommend you install and use that. So there's a lot of messaging. There's potential here. People that want a small smartwatch are going to like this. And if you want some of that Google integration, I'm just really curious to see how the battery life holds up, how the durability of this very large glass display holds up. But a lot remains to be seen. We're going to do some more testing. If you're interested in the Google Pixel Watch, check out the description below for links and where to find it, and get more details in our written articles on ZDNet. Thanks everybody for watching. Talk to you later.